What if I told you that the person sitting next to you right now could be a centuries-old immortal who survives on human blood? Welcome to What If Horizons, where we turn the ordinary into the extraordinary and make you question everything you thought you knew. Let's talk about vampires. Not the sparkly, romanticized kind from fiction, but the real deal, ancient, cunning, and terrifyingly powerful. What if they've been ruling the world from the shadows this whole time? Think about it. History is full of powerful figures who seemed to defy age, wielded immense influence, and had a knack for avoiding sunlight. Coincidence? I think not. Imagine a world where every major decision, every political upheaval, and every cultural shift was orchestrated by a secret cabal of vampires. The French Revolution, a vampire feud gone wrong. The Industrial Revolution, just vampires figuring out how to mass-produce blood bags. Even your favorite pop star might be a vampire, using their hypnotic voice to keep us all distracted while they pull the strings behind the scenes. And let's not forget the logistics. How do they stay hidden in the age of smartphones and social media? Easy. They've infiltrated tech companies. Ever wonder why your phone's battery dies so quickly? Vampires. Why does your Wi-Fi cut out at the worst possible moment? Vampires. Why does your GPS always take you on the longest route? Vampires. They're messing with us, and we're too busy yelling at our devices to notice. But here's the kicker. What if they're not evil? What if they're just misunderstood? Maybe they're trying to keep humanity from destroying itself. After all, they've been around for centuries. They've seen what happens when we're left to our own devices. Maybe they're the reason we haven't blown up the planet yet. So next time you feel like the world is spinning out of control, remember, it might just be a vampire pulling the strings. And if you ever meet someone who seems a little too charming, a little too perfect, and a little too pale, well, you might want to offer them a glass of wine. Just in case. Now let's examine how these night-dwelling overlords would actually run things. Forget secret societies. Vampires would operate through entirely legal channels. Picture this: banks staying open all night, but only for preferred clients. No sir, you can't get a loan unless you sign this blood donation consent form. Suddenly those Wall Street types who never see daylight make a lot more sense. The food industry would have some interesting additions. Ever notice how rare steak became trendy? Or why cold brew coffee shops mysteriously multiply in every city? That's not a coincidence. That's undead corporate strategy. And let's talk about those suspiciously popular juice cleanse fads. Perfect cover for blood extractions disguised as wellness treatments. Healthcare would get really interesting. Those $800 EpiPens, designed by vampires who know allergic reactions make blood taste funny. Your dentist suddenly recommending fang filing as a preventative measure. Yeah, that's not standard practice. And why do you think blood drives always offer cookies afterwards? It's not kindness. It's customer retention. The entertainment industry would be their greatest masterpiece. All those vampire TV shows and movies. That's what we in the business call hiding in plain sight. The whole superhero craze with invincible protagonists. Classic vampire misdirection. And reality shows about eccentric billionaires with weird sleep schedules. I'll let you connect those dots. But here's the real question. How do they handle garlic bread? Do they ban it completely or just buy all the Italian restaurants? Do they strategically place gluten intolerance, propaganda to reduce consumption? These are the real mysteries we should be investigating. Let's talk about the workplace under vampire rule. First, the obvious. Night shifts would suddenly become the most prestigious positions. Forget the corner office. The real power move is getting assigned to the midnight accounting team. And don't even try calling in sick after a late night out. Your boss hasn't slept since 1823, so your excuses won't fly. Performance reviews would get personal. Instead of generic feedback, you might hear things like, your quarterly numbers are disappointing, but your blood type is exquisite. Promotions would come with strange conditions, like signing a waiver that allows your manager to check in on you after hours. And good luck negotiating a raise when your supervisor can literally hypnotize you into accepting less. Corporate retreats would take on a whole new tone. Forget trust falls. Team building now involves surviving a night in a haunted castle that's actually just HR's vacation home. And those mandatory blood drives. Yeah, those aren't for charity. Notice how the CEO always, coincidentally, schedules them right before bonus season. Even the office snacks would be suspicious. Why does the break room only stock iron-rich foods like spinach and liver pate? Why does the coffee machine have a special reserve setting that brews something dark and definitely not coffee? And why does the office Christmas party always end with someone waking up groggy with 2 tiny puncture wounds on their neck? The worst part, they've rigged the system so we thank them for it. Unlimited overtime, how generous. Free wellness screenings that involve a lot of needlework. So progressive. That motivational poster in the lobby that just says obey in elegant cursive. Such inspiring decor. So next time you're stuck working late, ask yourself, are you climbing the corporate ladder, or just climbing the menu? Now let's explore how vampire rule would reshape education. Schools would introduce some unique curriculum updates. Forget algebra. Students would now take mandatory classes like advanced night navigation and how to spot a vampire 101. Spoiler. It's always the history teacher. Field trips would take on a darker tone, with visits to historical sites that are just vampire lairs with good PR. Textbooks would have some interesting edits. The chapter on the Renaissance. Now it's about how vampires invented art to make humans more aesthetically pleasing. The Industrial Revolution. Just vampires figuring out how to mass-produce black cloaks. Even biology class would get a rewrite. Suddenly, blood types are the most important thing you'll ever learn. Teachers would have some unusual requirements. Ever notice how your favorite professor never seems to age? Or why the school nurse is always pushing iron supplements? And why does the cafeteria serve so much rare meat? These aren't coincidences. They're carefully crafted policies to keep the student body both nourished and nourishing. Exams would become a whole new level of stressful. Imagine sitting down for a test only to find the first question is, describe your blood type in detail and explain why it's superior to others. Bonus points if you include a sample. And forget cheating. Your teacher can literally smell fear, so good luck hiding that crib sheet. Even extracurricular activities would get a vampiric twist. The chess club. Now it's a cover for teaching humans strategic thinking and how to lose gracefully. The drama club. Perfect for training humans to be convincing in case they need to cover for their vampire overlords. And the track team. Let's just say those late-night practices aren't just about building endurance. So next time you're struggling through a tough class, remember, it's not just about getting good grades. It's about proving you're worth keeping around. And if you ever see a teacher with an unusually sharp smile, maybe bring them an apple. Or a blood orange, just to be safe. Let's dive into how vampire rule would transform healthcare. Hospitals would have some unconventional practices. Forget flu shots. Now they offer wellness transfusions, where you donate blood for your own good. And those long wait times in the ER. That's not inefficiency. That's just the staff waiting for your blood pressure to rise. Doctors would have some unusual bedside manners. Instead of asking how you're feeling, they might say, your hemoglobin levels are fascinating. Care to elaborate? Prescriptions would come with strange side effects, like sudden cravings for rare steak or an inexplicable fear of sunlight. And good luck getting a second opinion. Your doctor's been practicing medicine since the Civil War, so they're probably right. Even medical research would take a dark turn. Those groundbreaking studies on blood diseases, funded by vampires who want to make sure their meals are safe. The sudden popularity of iron supplements, not a health trend, just a way to keep the blood supply rich and tasty. And those experimental treatments that sound too good to be true, they probably are. The most suspicious part? Hospitals would suddenly become very interested in your family history. Does anyone in your family have a history of anemia? No? How about a history of night terrors? And those routine blood tests? Yeah, they're not routine. They're just the hospital's way of keeping tabs on their favorite donors. Even mental health would get a vampiric twist. Therapy sessions would involve a lot of questions about your dreams, specifically, whether they involve fangs. Anxiety medication would come with a warning label. May cause increased susceptibility to hypnosis. And those support groups for people who feel drained all the time. Let's just say they're not talking about stress. So next time you visit the doctor, pay attention to the details. Is that stethoscope around their neck? Or is it a necklace with a suspiciously sharp pendant? And if they suggest a therapeutic bloodletting, maybe get a second opinion. From someone who doesn't look like they've been alive since the 1800s. Now let's examine how transportation would function under vampire governance. Public transit schedules would suddenly make much more sense. All-night bus routes become the most reliable services while daytime trains mysteriously break down. Ever notice how subway systems have those suspiciously deep tunnels that go unused? Perfect for quick undead commuting without sunlight exposure. Air travel would undergo fascinating changes. First-class cabins would feature blackout curtains and temperature controls set to coffin mode. Flight attendants would offer unusual beverage choices: coffee, tea, or type O negative. Turbulence warnings would be replaced with alerts about sudden solar exposure. And those long unexplained delays on the tarmac, just waiting for full darkness to land safely. Road infrastructure would tell its own story. Highway rest stops would feature 24-hour blood banks disguised as juice bars. Toll booths would accept both cash and alternative payment methods. Streetlights would develop convenient malfunctions along certain elite commuting routes. And those potholes that never get fixed. Strategic sunlight barriers for underground travel routes. Personal vehicles would show telltale signs of vampiric influence. Sunroofs would inexplicably stop working after purchase. GPS systems would mysteriously avoid routing through churches or garlic farms. Car warranties would include unusual clauses about nocturnal operation limitations. And that new car smell, increasingly reminiscent of aged mahogany and faint copper. The most brilliant part: they've convinced humans this is all normal. We complain about late-night services being underfunded while daylight services deteriorate. We accept that certain neighborhoods inexplicably have better nighttime infrastructure. We even celebrate vampire hours as a productivity hack rather than what it really is: peak dining time for our overlords. So next time your night train arrives suspiciously on time while your morning commute falls apart, ask yourself, who really benefits from this schedule? And if your Uber driver refuses to roll down the windows on a sunny day, maybe just enjoy the ride. After all, they've probably been navigating these streets since horse-drawn carriages were new technology. Let's talk about how vampire rule would impact the tech industry. First, the obvious. Smartphones would suddenly come with a night mode that's permanently on. Those software updates that drain your battery. Not a glitch, just a way to keep you tethered to a charger and therefore indoors. And those mysterious apps that appear on your phone without your knowledge. Probably just your vampire overlords checking in. Social media would take a dark turn. Forget influencers. Now it's all about nocturnal lifestyle coaches who teach you how to optimize your nighttime routine. Those endless vampire memes, not just jokes, they're a clever way to normalize the undead lifestyle. And those filters that make you look pale and mysterious. That's not beauty, that's conditioning. Even gaming would get a vampiric twist. Virtual reality headsets would come with optional garlic-free settings. Popular games would feature characters who survive on blood instead of health packs. And those in-game purchases for premium content, let's just say they're not just for cosmetic upgrades. The most suspicious part: tech companies would suddenly become very interested in your biometric data. Why do we need your blood type for a fitness tracker? Oh, no reason, just for accuracy. And those smart home devices that always seem to malfunction during the day. Yeah, that's not a coincidence. Even cybersecurity would take on a new meaning. Forget hackers. Now the biggest threat is vampires intercepting your data to find out when you're most vulnerable. Those random password resets. Just a way to keep you on your toes and indoors. And those endless updates that require you to restart your computer. Perfect for keeping you stationary while they check in. So next time your phone mysteriously dies in the middle of the day, ask yourself, is it really a battery issue, or is it just your vampire overlords making sure you stay put? And if your smart home device suddenly starts playing eerie organ music, maybe just go with it. After all, it's probably just setting the mood. Now let's explore how vampire rule would reshape the food industry. Restaurants would introduce some unique menu items. Forget farm to table. Now it's all about vein to glass. Those trendy juice bars offering iron-rich smoothies. Yeah, that's not spinach they're blending. And those exclusive wine clubs. Let's just say the vintage they're serving isn't from a vineyard. Fast food would get a dark twist. Those secret sauces that make the burgers so addictive. Probably not ketchup. Those late-night drive-through specials. Perfect for catching hungry night owls. And those mysterious Seasonal items that disappear without warning. Yeah, they weren't just limited time offers. Even grocery stores would have some suspicious changes. The meat aisle would suddenly expand, with rare cuts becoming the most popular items. The produce section would inexplicably shrink, except for the garlic, which would always be out of stock. And those loyalty cards that give you discounts. Let's just say they're not just tracking your purchases. The most brilliant part, they've convinced us this is all normal. We line up for hours at those trendy steak houses without questioning why the chefs never seem to age. We pay top dollar for artisanal, blood orange juice without wondering why it tastes so authentic. And we happily sign up for meal kits that promise energy boosting recipes without asking what's really in them. So next time you're enjoying a delicious meal, take a closer look at the menu. Is that house special really just a cleverly disguised way to get you to donate blood? And if your waiter seems a little too interested in your choice of entree, maybe order the vegetarian option. Just to be safe. After all, in a world ruled by vampires, the most dangerous thing on the menu might just be you. Let's talk about how vampire rule would transform the entertainment industry. Movies and TV shows would suddenly take a dark turn, literally. Forget bright, sunny rom-coms. Now it's all about moody, atmospheric dramas set entirely at night. Those endless vampire franchises, not just entertainment, they're propaganda. Music would get a vampiric twist. Pop stars would suddenly start singing about eternal love and never-ending nights. Concerts would always start after sunset, with elaborate light shows designed to distract from the fact that the lead singer hasn't aged in decades. And those exclusive backstage passes, let's just say they come with some unusual perks. Even sports would change. Night games would become the most prestigious events, with players who seem to have superhuman stamina. Those mysterious energy drinks the athletes are always chugging, probably not just Gatorade, and those long, dramatic pauses in the action, perfect for a quick snack. The most suspicious part, award shows would suddenly become very interested in lifetime achievement. Those celebrities who seem to win year after year. Yeah, they're not just talented, they've been around for centuries. And those after parties that last until dawn. Let's just say they're not just about networking. So next time you're binge watching your favorite show, pay attention to the details. Is that brooding lead character really just a great actor, or is he actually brooding because he's been alive since the 1800s? And if your favorite singer suddenly releases a ballad about the thirst, maybe read between the lines. After all, in a world ruled by vampires, entertainment isn't just about distraction, it's about survival. And if you ever find yourself at a concert that feels a little too intense, maybe head for the exit. Just to be safe. Now let's consider how vampire rule would influence politics. Elections would take on a whole new tone. Campaign slogans like, "Vote for change," would be replaced with, "Vote for eternity." Candidates would suddenly develop a knack for avoiding daylight appearances, and debates would conveniently start after sunset. Those town hall meetings, held in dimly lit basements. Yeah, they're not just for ambiance. Policy decisions would raise some eyebrows. Why is there suddenly a push for 24-hour government services? Why are there tax breaks for companies that specialize in blackout curtains? And why does every infrastructure bill include funding for underground tunnels? These aren't coincidences, they're carefully crafted policies to keep the ruling class comfortable. Even international relations would get a vampiric twist. Diplomatic meetings would always be scheduled at night, with cultural exchanges that involve a lot of wine tasting. Trade agreements would include unusual clauses about importing rare herbs and spices, garlic not included. And those mysterious, closed-door sessions. Let's just say they're not just about national security. The most brilliant part, they've convinced us this is all normal. We accept that our leaders never seem to age, that important decisions are always made in the dead of night, and that every major policy somehow benefits nighttime economies. We even celebrate their eternal wisdom, without questioning how they acquired it. So next time you're watching the news, pay attention to the details. Is that politician really just charismatic, or is he using centuries of practice to win you over? And if your local representative suddenly starts pushing for more nighttime recreational activities, maybe ask what's really behind it. After all, In a world ruled by vampires, the most dangerous thing might not be the policies, it's the people making them. If you enjoyed this deep dive into a world where vampires pull the strings, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more mind-bending explorations on What If Horizons. Your support helps us keep questioning the reality around us, and maybe, just maybe, uncover the truth. Until next time, stay curious, and maybe keep a garlic clove handy. Just in case.